We have breaking news from the Writers Guild of America that could impact the entire film and TV industries.
And hundreds marched in Los Angeles today in remembrance of the Armenian massacre. We talked to people at the rally coming up.
And the French election has come down to two polar opposite candidates. We'll break down their policies and the potential effects of the election.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Protesters took to the streets today to raise awareness of the Armenian genocide. Good evening, I'm Jake Ingracia.
And I'm Gabriella Vidal. Thousands marched to the Turkish consulate in downtown Los Angeles. Turkey refuses to recognize the genocide that killed more than 1.5 million Armenians in 1915. LA is home to the largest Armenian community outside of Armenia. Their message to the Turkish government continues to be the same.
I have to fight, I have to demand, I have to do every possible way and to ask to the Turkish government and whoever doesn't recognize the Armenian genocide as it happened.
Genocide means to erase a culture, erase a race, and that's what Turkey almost did.
The March for Justice included 18 different Armenian organizations, LA officials, and Armenian descendants. They're demanding land reparations and compensation for the displacement and death of Armenians during the genocide. One descendant shared how this tragedy impacted her great-grandmother.
Before the Turkish gendarmes got to my great-grandma's family after they killed the men, the women and children, they lined up on the banks of the Euphrates River, they held hands and they jumped in to drown themselves because a lot of them would be taken into sexual slavery, especially the younger girls. And so they held hands and they jumped into the Euphrates River to kill themselves, and they all drowned except my great-grandmother held onto a weeping willow branch, and a Kurdish family came and saved her and took her in as their maid for 4 years, and then put her in a British orphanage at the time, and then her brothers in the U.S. found her and brought her here.
In a statement to Annenberg Media, the Turkish consulate said, quote, "As the Republic of Turkey, we once again pay our respects to the Ottoman Armenians who lost their lives under harsh conditions of the First World War and convey our condolences to their descendants." And on this anniversary of the mass killings, a big budget film set during the Armenian massacre opened to low ratings this weekend. Reviews have been lukewarm, but producers say the movie fell victim to an online campaign fueled by Turks who denied the killings ever happened. Before The Promise hit the big screen, it received tens of thousands of one-star ratings on the popular movie review site IMDb. Fans of the film say they're, quote, "fighting fire with fire," and the movie's now received more than 35,000 five-star IMDb ratings. The $100 million epic made just $4 million this opening weekend. Producers say it's not about the money, but the message the film gets across.
And we have breaking news out of Hollywood. The Writers Guild of America has voted to authorize a strike if they don't reach an agreement before the union's contract expires on May 1st. About 96% of the writers voted in favor of a strike. It could still be avoided if the two sides reach an agreement before next Monday. Negotiations are set to resume tomorrow. And the first round of presidential elections shook France this weekend. A refugee deal with Australia is in the works.
Let's hand it over to our international reporter, Claudia Buccio, with more.
Thanks, Jake and Gabby. Headlines all over the world show it will be two candidates from outside the traditional parties competing to be the next president of France. On Sunday, Emmanuel Macron won 24% of the votes. That's a million more than the runner-up, Marine Le Pen. Their views could not be more different. Marine Le Pen is a far-right nationalist who wants France to leave the European Union and wants to keep immigrants out. Emmanuel Macron is a centrist who wants France to stay in the European Union and supports an open immigration system. Annenberg Media's Ryan Thompson is in Paris to show us what factors are in play for this election.
Many people have their eyes on this seemingly normal election in the French Republic. Many are worried about the future of the European Union and the trade agreements and immigration agreements that have been established. Front National leader Marine Le Pen has said that if she wins the election, she will threaten a French exit from the European Union, a Frexit, if you will, and that could threaten these agreements, and a European Union without France, well, that union could not exist at all, possibly because of the size of the economies. So many are concerned about her presidency and what the implications of it would be. There's certainly a lot to see, a lot to talk about as we get closer to Election Day on May 7th. But that's the latest now from Paris. For Annenberg Media, I'm Ryan Thompson. Back to you, Claudia.
Thanks, Ryan. I spoke to an international relations expert about what he thinks will happen in France if Le Pen wins, or if Macron becomes the next president.
I think there's going to be a period of concern and probably reaction if Le Pen wins, but I think it'll steady itself up. It'll be a very conservative government. It'll be anti-immigrant and not very appealing to the multiculturalism of France. What I mean by conservative with Macron is more capitalist and more economically conservative. Could be wrong on this one, but I would say Macron is probably going to be the next leader of France.
This election could determine if Brexit is followed by a Frexit, whether France exits the European Union like Britain did. The U.S. will honor a refugee deal with Australia that President Trump called, quote, dumb. Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. will stand by the agreement signed last November by President Obama, but that refugees will be subject to extreme vetting. Let's take a look at this map. With this deal, the U.S. has agreed to receive over 1,000 asylum seekers. They are currently in Australian-run detention camps off the two tiny islands here off the coast of Papua New Guinea. Most of them are from the Middle East and South Asia. In return, Australia will resettle refugees coming from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, who have been housed in a facility in Costa Rica. The U.S. State Department issued this response. The United States remains deeply committed to safeguarding the American public, just as we are committed to providing refuge to some of the world's most vulnerable people. As of now, it is unclear when these negotiations will start between the U.S. and Australia, but the UN will be in charge of this. Back to you, Jake.
Thanks, Claudia. To immigration now and the fears of undocumented students at USC. The Legal Advice Project is a new USC-funded initiative providing free advice about immigration to students on campus. Professor Jean Reese is a member of the new USC project and teaches at the law school. Thank you for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
So let's just get right to the mission of this project. What are the services that you provide and who do you provide them to?
So the USC Immigration Clinic Student, Faculty, and Staff Project basically provide services to students, faculty, and staff on the in the USC community, both here and on the Health Sciences campus. What students, faculty, or staff who have any sort of immigration issues can call us. We will do a complete legal assessment of them. We will refer them to to other legal service providers, depending on what their issues are. We've helped probably since its inception of our project, which kind of started on an ad hoc basis after the first travel ban, over 50 students, faculty, and staff, ranging from a PhD candidate who was stranded outside of the country after the first travel ban, to a student who has needs a renewal of a DACA, undocumented students who are wondering if there's any way for them to adjust, or citizen students whose family members are undocumented. We also are doing a citizenship workshops that are going to be throughout the year, and we've done 2 already, which we've helped a student apply for citizenship and also staff member apply for citizenship.
So those families who the student might be documented or have legal status, but their parents do not, or a family member does not, how do you help gauge the services that you can provide to the actual families of USC community members?
So, you had asked me earlier about our mission. Our mission really is to support the students, faculties, and staff. I think in this, they're scary times right now. There's a lot of stories about deportations being ramped up, family members being separated. So our main mission is to provide support and quality advice, legal advice to students, faculty, and staff. And so a student who may not personally be affected by immigration, who may themselves be a citizen but may have family members, that's going to impact the student as well and their ability to just be a student or faculty's ability to teach or a staff member's ability to work here. So we will do a legal assessment of, meet with the student or the faculty or staff member who has an issue that may be related to family, and do a legal assessment to see if maybe there's any family-based avenues that they can pursue to either adjust their immigration status or relief from deportation.
And so, to students who may not know about your service, your counseling on campus, what is your message to them right now?
I mean, my message is to, our website is on the law school. We have an email address. All consultations are confidential, so whatever is discussed, even if we are not actually representing and becoming the attorney of the student or the faculty or staff, everything is confidential. So even if you have questions or concerns, call us, email us, because we can help you or direct you to a place where you can get help, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of anxiety that I think can be abated with the proper information. So use this as a resource.
And the Legal Advice Project helping sort through all that. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thanks.
And Gabby, back over to you.
The reviews are in for President Trump's first 100 days in office. The polls show Trump's national approval rating is at an all-time low. In Washington Post ABC News poll, President Trump's approval rating is 42%, which is the lowest approval rating since 1945. But the survey also found that 96% of Trump voters and 84% of Republicans approve of President Trump's performance. Tonight, a DPS officer is being remembered for her dedication to the school.
Also, President Obama made his first public appearance since the election. What he had to say to students at the University of Chicago coming up.
And the USC aero design team competed in a national competition. We find out how the cutting-edge technology that won them first place.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 5 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back. A DPS officer killed in a car crash last Friday is being remembered for her service and dedication to USC. We spoke with Department of Public Safety Chief John Thomas about Sonia Lee's legacy.
It's always tragic internally for the department when we lose someone, but I think it's the greater loss is to the campus community, because this is an individual who basically decided that of all the careers, she was going to choose to serve and help people. And of all the places that she could have done that, and again, her being from Florida, she chose to do that here at USC.
Sonia Lee worked for DPS for 14 years. She will be buried in her home state of Florida.
The number of anti-Semitic incidents is up 86% in the first quarter of 2017. That's according to a new report from the Anti-Defamation League. The report also says there were 1,266 incidents across the country in 2016. That's up from less than 1,000 the year before. Here in California, the state had the highest number of incidents in the country last year with 211.
Vandalism and harassment were both up, both nationally and in California. And so vandalism, the trend we saw there was a lot a lot of use of swastikas, a lot of swastikas, so etched into people's cars or spray painted on the side of a synagogue.
The audit looked at anti-Semitic harassment, vandalism, and assaults reported by victims, law enforcement, and community leaders.
Berkeley College Republicans filed a lawsuit against the University of California today after UC Berkeley told conservative commentator Ann Coulter she could not speak on campus this Thursday. The university says it's concerned about safety after a series of violent clashes on campus. An attorney representing the Berkeley College Republicans said, quote, "Berkeley is well known as a place where ideas used to be welcome, at least on the conservative side, at least until this recent election. The university is required to give equal access to speakers of different viewpoints." The president's office at Cal said it's committed to providing Coulter a forum on campus and wants to ensure all members of the Berkeley community are safe during such an event.
So I actually was outside today and it was incredibly hot. I don't know if, I really hope it's not going to be like this much for the rest of the week, but I don't know. What are you curious about learning about the weather this week?
I don't know. I hear it's going to be a warm summer and a warm week ahead, so let's toss it over to Addie Stafford at the Maps. Addie?
Thanks so much, Jake and Gabby. You are correct, a warm day today and a warm week ahead as well, but let's check out those current conditions. We're looking at 65 degrees outside, some partly cloudy weather, so a wonderful night out there in Los Angeles. Now let's check out the mountains for tomorrow. Big Bear is looking at 62 degrees and pretty much low 80s throughout the rest of the area. Now let's head to the coast. Malibu is looking at 64 degrees tomorrow, high 70s, low 80s throughout the rest of that area. And let's check out USC. USC for tomorrow is looking at 77. Some wonderful weather around here. We got 77 as well in Pasadena. Let's check out your 5-day forecast. High 70s and low 80s for the rest of the week. Lots of sunshine, a little bit of partly cloudy weather there on Tuesday and Thursday, but overall a warm week ahead and also a warm summer ahead. So the summer temperature outlook is here, and all over the U.S. we are looking at higher temperatures than usual. We are in a transition from La Nina to El Nino, which should lead to cooler summers, but due to global warming, temperatures will be much hotter. So the west and the south, so here in California we're looking at above average temperatures, as well as in the south above average, and pretty much a little bit of part of Texas, Midwest, and the East Coast we're looking at slightly above average temperatures. So a really hot summer ahead. Be out there and enjoy it. That's all I have for weather for today. Thank you so much for an amazing semester. Back to you, Gabby.
Thank you, Addie. After months out of the spotlight, former President Barack Obama made his first public appearance at a forum with students at the University of Chicago.
The single most important thing I can do is to help in any way I can prepare the next generation of leadership to take up the baton.
Obama didn't say anything about the Trump administration or its policies. Instead, the talk focused on how the younger generation can actively engage in political life.
Thank you.
President Obama will be doing a series of public engagements in the U.S. and Europe. He'll receive the Profile and Courage Award on May 7th in Boston.
And I hear from our sports anchor, Kristen Lago, that some of the USC sports are ending soon, but continuing into the summer in their tournaments.
Ooh, I'm excited to see what that'll be like. At least we'll have something to sort of watch when the semester ends and, you know, leading into the summer and hopefully next fall. So,
yeah, definitely something to look forward to. The end of the regular season is here, but 7 teams from USC will be in action this week in postseason tournaments. One of those teams, the USC Beach Volleyball team, will be defending a national and Pac-12 championship, while others like women's water polo and men's tennis will look to rebound from tough losses to crosstown rival UCLA. Sports are next.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to ATVN. The USC beach volleyball team is setting up for the Pac-12 championships this weekend. The team will participate in group play on Thursday before gearing up for pairs rounds on Saturday.
We have a huge target on our back, and it just keeps growing. It just means we have to play our game every single match, but we're prepared for that. We've trained for that, and it's at that time where we're ready to compete and we're ready to execute whatever we need to do.
Hughes and the rest of her team are coming off of a dominating 4-1 victory over crosstown rival UCLA, marking the program's 60th straight win and solidifying their #1 seed in the tournament. The women of Troy will look to defend both league and pairs championships before beginning with the quarterfinals in Arizona. But beach volleyball isn't the only Trojan team tackling a tournament this week. 7 USC sports teams will be competing as part of either the Pac-12 or MPSF tournaments. Women's golf has been in Arizona since yesterday for the Pac-12 championships, while beach volleyball, lacrosse, and men's and women's tennis will kick things off on Thursday. Rounding out the group is women's water polo and men's golf, who will hit the pool and green on Friday. On the court, the men's tennis team is looking to rebound from a 4-1 loss to rival UCLA. The team will face either Washington or Utah in the quarterfinal round. We spoke to senior Nick Crystal about how the team is gearing up for their uncertain opponent. And the Pac-12 championships will take place in Ojai, California. But moving to the pool, women's water polo will be back in action to face San Jose State after ending the regular season on a sour note, dropping its last match of the year to UCLA 11-7. Now, the once top-ranked women of Troy will take the 3rd seed in the MPSF tournament. But should they come out with a win over the Spartans, they will most likely have to face both the Stanford Cardinal and the UCLA Bruins to reach the championship round, both of which delivered a loss to USC this season. Moving to the professional sports world, the Los Angeles Kings had a big announcement to make today, formally introducing John Stevens as their new head coach. Stevens has been an assistant with the Kings since 2010. He says that Los Angeles is a special place to coach in.
The opportunity to coach here in Los Angeles to me is special. I think the fan support here is tremendous. I think the expectations of winning here in Los Angeles are as high here as anywhere in the National Hockey League, and that's a good thing.
Stevens will replace former head coach Daryl Sutter, who was let go after 6 years in LA. But moving to the professional football world, the NFL draft starts this Thursday in Philadelphia. Sports correspondent Aaron Glazer is here to talk a little football with me. Thank you for being here, Aaron.
Of course, Kristen.
All right, let's kick things off with a little bit of breaking news that we had today coming out from one of the league's brightest prospects. Take me through what happened.
So essentially, Jabril Peppers, who's this kind of big-name guy coming out of Michigan, he plays multiple positions. He plays linebacker, he plays defensive back, although he's kind of looking to be solely defensive back in the league. He tested for a dilated sample today, which means he's been doing drugs, which, going forward in the substance abuse program with him, he could miss as much as 8 games if an issue like this happens again. So not a good mark for his character today.
Do you think that's going to have any, effect on his draft stock coming on Thursday with the NFL draft?
Well, he is projected to go in the first round. I think that it might slip him back a couple of picks. Laremy Tunsil had a similar issue with drugs a couple of years ago, and it slipped him back, a little bit more than people expected. So it's not unprecedented, unfortunately. But I think that Peppers will still be a first-round pick, maybe just a little bit later, though.
Okay, so not too much of an effect on his draft stock. But moving to the teams in LA, the Chargers and the Rams will definitely be needing some help this season after a less than great, to say the least, season last year. So what are those two teams going to be looking for on draft day?
Well, starting off with the Los Angeles Rams, they need someone for Jared Goff to throw to. They have Tavon Austin, but opposing defenses are kind of, eliminating Austin pretty early. They need more centerpieces for their offense, something to give not only Goff options, but also fans the entertainment value to show up to the Coliseum in the first place. As for the Chargers, the newer team, in Los Angeles, they need some offensive line help. They have a defensive line. They have Joey Bosa, who they drafted last year, but offensive line could be a little bit better.
All right, and moving back home here to USC, we saw a slew of Trojans kind of take their way, declare for the draft. We know about Adoree Jackson, we know about Juju Smith-Schuster, but are we going to see any surprises from fellow Trojans being drafted in the earlier rounds?
I think we should look at Stevie Tuikolovatu, the defensive tackle. This guy's a powerful force. He can get in and out of offensive linemen easily. I think that he's an option people might think a little earlier than you might expect.
All right, so definitely a surprise. USC Trojan fans should stay tuned. But if you're interested in the draft, you can catch that when it kicks off on Thursday night. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks so much, Kristen. The USC Aero Design team was flying high this past weekend.
We take a look at the design that won USC first place in the national competition.
Guess what? I have some news for you. There's free food right there, junk food. You see that truck? Oh, jeez. It's a 2 Michelin star chef. All for free, ladies and gentlemen. All for free.
Here we have a panzanella with summer vegetables and pesto. Enjoy. How we doing?
Fantastic. So what do you got going on underneath that plate there?
This food is really about to be thrown away.
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with this food? Where did you get it from?
From farmers markets. They put aside the ugly vegetables and the ugly fruits.
Carrot top, soft avocados. It was all food that was going to be discarded.
Even the drink you had is made from like a little bruised peach. Did it taste a little bruised?
Great. That was good.
The average person throws away 24 pounds of food a month.
That's a lot.
Isn't that a lot? Go visit savethefood.com for more information. Thank you. Junk food time!
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees. Nothing to do with snow. Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones. Don't even. And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
The USC Aero Design team won first place at the annual Design Build and Fly competition.
One of the biggest things is like a lot of people join the team for the love of the planes, but I think that personally it's the members themselves that contribute a lot to the team, and like all the we say the Trojan family all the time, and I really felt that here at ADT, and I think that's what I hope a lot of Gen members take back as well.
The USC Aero Design team competed in Sedona, Arizona against 80 other schools from around the world. Well, thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Gabriella Vidal.
And I'm Jake Ingracia. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Have a good night.